Welcome to the Balanced Blood Sugar Podcast, where we focus on everyday wellness for everyone. I'm Adrienne Wheat, a registered nurse, here to share tips, habits, and lifestyle shifts that can help you feel your best by stabilizing blood sugar and improving your overall health. Everything we discuss is designed for general health and routine education because everyone deserves to feel empowered with the right information. But I'm not your personal nurse, so make sure to check with your healthcare provider before making any changes. Let's dive into today's episode. Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Balanced Blood Sugar Podcast. I'm your host, Adrienne Wheat, and today we have saved the spiciest topic for last in our gut health series: parasites, heavy metals, and how to detox safely without wrecking your gut or your system in the process. If you've ever seen someone online talk about passing worms or ridding themselves of disease after a detox, or wondered if parasites could be the root of your bloating, fatigue, or cravings, or thought about doing a cleanse or a detox but didn't know where to start or were scared to mess things up, then this episode is for you. We are going deep today into a somewhat uncomfortable topic, but don't worry, we'll take it slow, step by step, and keep it practical and informed. So here's what we're going to cover: what parasites really are and how common they are, even here in the US, why parasites and heavy metals go hand in hand, what your lymphatic system and liver have to do with detoxing, how to know if your gut is ready for a cleanse, the difference between binders and chelating agents, what to do before, during, and after a detox, and how to make this a lifestyle and not just a 30-day protocol. So first up, let's talk about those little thingies we don't really want to think about very much. What are parasites, and do you have them? Parasites are organisms that live in or on your body and feed off your nutrients. And yes, they are way more common than people think, even in clean, organic, filtered water households. You can get them from contaminated water, undercooked meat or fish, travel, including U.S. travel, pets or livestock, or gardening, swimming, eating out, or honestly, just life. You can get them pretty much anywhere you do life. The symptoms that may be linked to parasites include chronic bloating, fatigue or brain fog, random food sensitivities, skin issues like rashes, eczema or acne, sugar cravings, sleep disruptions, especially if you're waking up between 1 and 3 a.m., mood swings or anxiety. And here's the kicker: they love sugar. So the more you crave it and eat it, the more they grow. Now, parasites and heavy metals are actually kind of like a toxic tag team. Here's something that most people don't know. Parasites often store heavy metals inside their bodies. And it's actually one of your body's protective mechanisms. Your body actually hides toxic metals like mercury and lead inside parasite cells or fat tissues so that they don't damage your organs. But when you kill off parasites without prepping your detox pathways, those heavy metals can get dumped straight into your bloodstream. Woo, yikes. You definitely don't want that. That can cause migraines, mood swings, inflammation, hormonal chaos, or even just crashes in energy and blood sugar and an overall feeling of yuck. And that is why preparation is absolutely everything if you feel like you need to go through a cleanse. So let's talk about Detox Pathways 101. You must open the exits first. If there is anything that you learn about today, I want you to keep that with you. You must open the exits first. Before you cleanse or detox, your body needs to be able to actually get toxins out. And that's where your detox pathways come in. You have about 4 different pathways for detoxes to come out. First is your liver. This is what filters toxins from your blood. You also have your lymphatic system, which is what moves waste out of tissues. You have your colon, which then eliminates what's collected. And you have your kidneys and your skin, which also help with toxin release through urination or like a sauna where you're sweating a lot. But unlike your bloodstream or your colon or your kidneys and your skin, well, I guess your skin kind of needs a little extra help too with the sweating, but your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. Now, you might have heard about lymph nodes. We talk about them quite a lot, especially if you're sick. You might hear about lymph nodes. Your lymphatic system is kind of like a system that runs parallel to your blood circulatory system. The main thing is like, you can think of it as like a vein system with little balls on it. And sometimes like when you're sick, you'll get swelling in your neck or something and you feel little nodules. Those are your lymph nodes. They usually house white blood cells and lymph fluid that help attack infections throughout your body. But they also are a good way to help move waste out of tissues and stuff around your body. But as I was saying, it doesn't have a pump. So it only moves when you do. So now we're going to talk about how to support the main pathways, your MVPs of detox, and that is your lymphatic system and your liver. Your lymphatic system's whole goal of supporting that system is movement. So dry brushing towards your heart before you shower can really help move that system. Gentle rebounding, like on a mini trampoline in your living room, even just 5 to 10 minutes of jumping like that can get that lymph system flowing because it works with one-way valves, very similar to your vein system. So if you jump and rebound on a trampoline, that can really help get that lymph system flowing throughout your body. You can do some walking or stretching. Sometimes sauna time can actually help as well. Try hydrating with extra electrolytes and some mineral-rich salt. And as most of our viewers know, our family is a huge fan of earthly wellness products because they're well-tested, they're herbalist formulated, and they've just been super effective for my family. And so like our whole medicine cabinet is made up of their products now. But they do make a lymphatic cream that can help with that gentle drainage support. Now let's talk about the liver. The liver is like your second MVP of the detox pathways. So first up, to help detox your liver and keep it open and clear and working as it should, you'll want to increase your intake of cruciferous veggies like broccoli, kale, or cabbage. You can also increase your intake of garlic, onions, and beets. You can try drinking lemon water or apple cider vinegar, especially first thing in the morning. That's one of the best things you can do. Just have a cup of water with some lemon in it. Get your system flowing in the morning. We also use Earthly's Liver Love tincture and put that into our daily regimen. That's just one of the ways we constantly try and support our detox systems because we're constantly exposed to toxins through foods, through pesticides, through our air, through all kinds of stuff. And so just keeping those pathways open just really helps you prevent getting stopped up in the first place. You can also use castor oil packs, which is like 2 to 3 times a week. This is not something I have done at this point because pregnancy and breastfeeding, typically you don't do that type of stuff. So I haven't tried that yet, but I do hear that's very effective as well. So how do you know that you're actually ready for detox? So this is one of the steps that everyone usually skips. And it's why so many people feel awful during a cleanse or during a detox. So And that main step is preparing your gut. So not just preparing the exits, you also want to prepare your gut, because what have we been learning this whole time about your gut? Your gut houses pretty much everything to make your body work. So you want to make sure that it's ready for what you're about to put it all through. So you want to ask, am I having daily bowel movements? Am I getting that waste out of my colon? Is my bloating under control? If bloating is one of the symptoms you have, that one you might have to kind of play with a little bit and be like, I've got it as under control as I can get it. Can you handle fermented foods and fiber? Is your blood sugar fairly stable? Are you sleeping okay and have decent energy? You might have some parasite symptoms can mimic gut health problems. So you want to make sure you're doing what you can to support your gut. And then, if you have symptoms still left over, it might be caused by something else that you can get rid of during the cleanse. But make sure that you're doing that gut healing first. You're incorporating bone broth and collagen. You're using cooked and easy to digest vegetables. Maybe you can supplement with L-glutamine or slippery elm or marshmallow root. You can remove sugar and seed oils and gluten if you're sensitive. Sometimes people are even sensitive to oats, and almonds can also be bothersome for some people. So if you really want to dive more into gut health, you can check out Dr. Gundry. He's got a lot of stuff on gut health and healing. So you can dive some more into that. Go slow on your probiotics and try to start with food-based ones. And, you want to do this for at least 4 to 6 weeks if needed. Don't rush this part. It's important to make sure that your body is ready. Your exits are clean. Your gut is as healthy as it can be. And you're doing what you can to support your body before you do this. Okay. So now let's talk a little bit more about getting ready to detox and cleanse. After you're getting through the gut health part, what's coming up next? So first up, let's kind of understand the different components you're going to need. First up, what are binders and chelators, and do you need both? So binders are natural substances that kind of soak up the toxins in your gut. So like during a cleanse, what ends up happening is toxins get released. And they typically get released from your gut. And so that's why you want to make sure your gut is healthy enough to kind of hold them in that area. And then you can use binders to soak up the toxins in your gut so they don't get reabsorbed or leak out into your bloodstream. So you want to think of them as like the sponge for your gut and your intestines. These are great for parasite die-off or candida. We've talked about that before being a big issue. Mold and general inflammation. If there's anything that you think, or like in our home, if somebody gets a stomach bug, we hit them with activated charcoal because it really helps to just absorb whatever is causing issues in there. It can really help to just have it absorbed by a binder. So as I said, activated charcoal is one of the most common ones. Earthly Wellness has a good one, but there are others on Amazon as well. We have capsule forms, we have powder forms, there's all different types out there. You just want to make sure, typically it's a bamboo charcoal that you're looking for, not the kind that you buy to make a barbecue. They are not the same thing. So don't run out and buy a box of Matchlight because that is not what you're after. Activated charcoal is made in a very specific way to be extra porous, so that really soaks up toxins, and it doesn't have any added lighter fluid or anything to it. There's also zeolite clay or tinctures. That's, I've noticed, is becoming pretty popular on Facebook ads and reels, especially with the kiddos, because zeolite can be pretty gentle for kids. So I've been seeing a lot of zeolite out there lately. And a chlorella is also another option. And this one can be fairly gentle. It is a sea algae, and it's actually very common to use on animals, but it can be used for us as well. It's considered one of those veggie superfoods. But chlorella is a fairly gentle binder but it's also like it's kind of a binder slash a detoxer. It does a little bit of both, but in a very gentle way, gentle enough to be used during pregnancy and with children. So, now on the flip side, chelating agents are meant to bind to heavy metals in your bloodstream and help you excrete them safely. So usually that happens through urine. This is best for a post-parasite cleanse, or if you know that you've had heavy metal exposure, you lived in an old house and you found out you were exposed to lead or something like that. One of the easiest ways is cilantro. Cilantro is a gentle food-based herb that's often used in Latin American food, and that's pretty much one of the only ones you can get over the counter. That's one of the only natural chelating agents that I know of out there. You might be able to do some research and find some others. But most chelating agents are actually doctor-prescribed pharmaceuticals. You have DMSA, EDTA, and DMPS. Now, important note about chelation. That should always be done with guidance and only after prep and binders are well established. So this would be like the very last part of a cleanse or a detox, but only after, you've seen whether or not it's needed. So what should detox actually feel like? And this is where you can kind of tell, do you need to take that extra step or not? Because, most people are going to be able to do the cleanse and the binders, and that's going to be plenty because your body's going to be able to get rid of most of that. But if you still feel like you may need more, there's a lot of third-party companies now that even do heavy metal testing, to see if you might need that extra step or not. But let's talk about what detox should actually feel like. You'll be a little tired. You may have a headache, some mild bloating. That's normal. But if you feel angry or wired or anxious or you can't sleep or you get covered in rashes, that is not normal. And that is your body saying, slow down. So when in doubt, just reduce your dose of whatever you're taking, take extra binders, support your lymph and your liver, rest and hydrate, and consider taking a few days off. You don't want to overwhelm your body with toxins. So as things start to die off and you start feeling run down, you'll want to make sure you increase your binders and just take it easy. Rest, hydrate really well. Drink a lot of extra electrolyte water, and just take it easy. It's not a race, you're not trying to kill yourself in the process. So just take your time, back it off. They're not going to get worse than what they were before. So just take your time and slow down as needed, and what you might be taking, Earthly has a lot of different options that you can take for detox. And, their Candida cleanse is a fairly popular one. They have a vaccine detox one. They've got different tinctures and herbals that you could take during that process, but they give you really specific instructions on how to use them. So if you need to back it off, and everybody's different. We do kind of a daily gut health oil in our home, and our toddler does not get near as many drops as my husband, for example, but it's safe for both of them in the correct quantities. So just remember, it's not a race. You can slow down and take it easy. Okay, so let's talk about a sample week of final prep before a cleanse. So this will be done after you feel like your gut health is back in shape as much as you can get it, and you're almost ready for a cleanse or a detox. So in the first couple of days, you want to focus on hydration with electrolytes, fiber, and movement, making sure you're keeping that gut moving and you're starting to get that lymph system going some more. Then you might want to start something like Earthly's Liver Love for extra detox pathway support. Something that can give your liver some extra support, like milk thistle, dandelion root. Those are all kind of already mixed up in a tincture for you if you use Earthly Wellness. So they're just herbs that have been proven to target a specific area of your system. And so you can keep using that throughout your cleanse. It's not going to make your cleanse worse. It's not going to make it more intense. It's actually going to help keep those exits open during your cleanse. And then on day 4, you can try adding some dry brushing or rebounding on a trampoline to get that lymphatic system really going. And then keep doing that throughout your cleanse as you can. Maybe you're too exhausted to jump on a trampoline, and that's fine. Just maybe do some dry brushing as you can before a shower each day. And then in day 5, start adding in your binder, your activated charcoal. This can help clean up stuff that's already getting moved around from detoxing your pathways. And you might also plan to add some magnesium lotion or extra electrolytes to prevent constipation, because sometimes the binders like activated charcoal or zeolite clay, they can cause constipation. So you're going to want to increase your magnesium lotion or add a lot of extra water to make sure you don't get stopped up, because that's exactly what you don't want, because colon is one of the detox pathways. So you want to make sure you're staying regular through the use of the binder as well. Chlorella can help regulate your bowel movements if that's the binder that you choose. So if you have issues with constipation, you might go more towards using chlorella versus activated charcoal, or maybe a mixture. That way you're not overwhelming your gut system. And then lastly, in the last couple of days, try to add in some castor oil packs if you can, support your sleep, and then meal prep if there's anything that, specific you want to eat during your detox. But just don't underestimate the prep. That's what most people do. Most people skip the preparation part and they just dive straight into the detox, and they just feel terrible. So make sure that you prep well, because detoxing and cleansing can be dangerous if you haven't prepared your body for it, because you are maybe killing off all kinds of stuff and releasing heavy metals in your body. You'll be releasing toxins in your body. A lot of times when mold dies off and things like that, they can actually release toxins. So you may feel in your body with all kinds of stuff, and not having a way out can just make you so much worse. So make sure that you've got your detox pathways working well. You feel like everything's moving as it should before you start your cleanse. So let's talk about, how often should you detox? Think seasonal or cyclical, but not constant. Like, you don't have to be doing a constant cleanse, but typically in most other parts of the world, a parasite cleanse is actually required before school for school-age children. And it's done at least 1 to 2 times per year. Sometimes they'll do it in the fall before school, and then they'll do it again in the spring. For children, especially children that love to play in the dirt, you might do 3 to 4 times a year. But at least 1 to 2 times a year as an adult, you want to make sure that you're cleansing your system and getting things out, because we are constantly being exposed to things. And we just saw an article the other day about pharmaceuticals now carrying a side effect of parasites. So apparently some of the stuff they've been making medicine with could carry parasites. So the parasites are actually a side effect of medicine. So if you're on any type of medicine for long term, there could be a pretty high chance that you've actually got parasites from the medicine you've had to take. So, just at least 1 to 2 times a year, it's good to just make sure you're kind of cleaning everything out. As for heavy metal detox, that one you only want to do when needed, and you go slow, because a lot of times you have to do it under the care of a provider for the higher medications, or using something like cilantro but it's not something you do often. Your body's pretty capable of cleaning out most stuff on its own. So heavy metal detox is not used near as often as other things, because a lot of times those binders can get a lot of that out if it's in your intestines and stuff. So being in your bloodstream it's a lot. I feel like it's rarer for having heavy metals in your bloodstream. It's more common in intestinal areas. So. And then lastly, just a daily detox support. Like we talked about, we're constantly exposed to different toxins throughout our environment, throughout our food, throughout the garden that we're trying to get our organic veggies in, so we're constantly exposed throughout the time. So daily detox is super helpful. You want to make sure that you're doing that. You can use herbals or chlorella as part of your daily support, but even just making sure you're being well hydrated every day. Hydration is huge for supporting your detox pathways. So hydration, fiber, moving, even if it's just walking, or especially, jumping on a trampoline or hanging upside down, like movements that activate that lymph system are super helpful. Breath work, some nutrient dense, well cooked food. Remember, undercooked food can cause parasites. So make sure that you're eating your well cooked food. Things are cooked to the temperature they should be, and also gut support, castor oil packs, using the occasional binder every once in a while throughout, once or twice a month, maybe do a dose of a binder like activated charcoal. And just those types of daily support throughout your life is going to help make subsequent cleanses a whole lot easier. And it's going to help prevent you from having lots of symptoms in between cleanses. And lastly, we'll just say, we talk a lot about Earthly Wellness, but it's mainly because it's a company that we trust, that we use. We've found their stuff to be way better than anything we've had over the counter. Like my daughter literally just got a cold this week and we knocked it out in less than 24 hours with their immune biotic. So they have amazing products and they're clean. They're mostly affordable. I mean, we don't use very much of them. But one of the things they do have is free education, and we just love that. They have a lot of free guides. They have guides on detox. They have guides on gut health. And a lot of times, if you go to add one of those products to your cart, like Liver Love, or you're getting castor oil or something that the system can really tell that you're looking at detox, it'll automatically shove that guide into your cart, which is super nice. They're usually just downloadable PDFs, but they're written. They have lots of quizzes on their websites to help you kind of find what will work best for you. And we've just really loved most of their products for supporting detox. And, we've talked about them a lot. So we're not affiliates or anything at this point, but we just love their products, and we just, we believe highly in what they do and their mission. And it's one of the safest places I know to send you to get the support that you need, whether it's for SIBO, whether it's for, metabolism help. They have, some stuff for metabolism strengthening that includes cinnamon and things like that to help with blood sugar regulation. They have all kinds of stuff on there. I encourage you to just get in and cruise around and look around all the stuff they have, take some quizzes. It's fun because, you can trust that they have formulated these tinctures and they're really, really effective. We're able to use them instead of the typical antihistamines you buy in the store and things like that. So anyway, my final thoughts on our detox situation is detox is not about doing more. It's about doing it right. So prep your gut, love your liver, move your lymph, and trust your body to heal with the right support. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be informed. So if this episode helped you, I'd love if you leave me a quick review or shoot me an email or share it with a friend who's wondering if they should do a cleanse. And this is the last of our gut health series. And I'm so thankful that you stuck with me through it all. I know it's probably a super strange thing for most people to listen to on a podcast about balancing blood sugar. But if you're still here, you have come to understand that your body is a system and it works best when it works together. And so understanding systemic inflammation as a huge part of blood sugar balance, that's when you get to understand how huge a role gut health plays in everything. So I'm so glad you stuck with me. We'll be back to some of our more regular programming next week. But until then, be kind to your gut because it's working hard for you.